There are lots of things worth forgetting about the 80s, like fanny packs, shoulder pads, and New Coke. But the decade wasn't a complete write-off. It also gave us toys and video games that collectors still treasure. Thanks to shows like Stranger Things and The Goldbergs, the 80s have somehow managed to become cool again. And at this year's New York Toy Fair, many of the toys and games you might have grown up with are returning, with a few modern upgrades. Namco's Pac-Man went on to become the definition of retro video gaming after hitting arcades in early 1980. The game has since been ported to almost every console and device imaginable, but with Super Impulse's new MicroArcades, you can now keep a fully playable copy of the game in your wallet. Your ears will love hearing the classic Pac-Man theme every time you start a new game, but your eyes might not like squinting at that tiny postage stamp-sized screen. Texas Instruments Speak and Spell was ahead of its time in the early 80s, being one of the first handheld devices to incorporate a keyboard, LCD display, cartridges, and an iconic synthesized computer voice that made it sound like a robot. Basic Fun is bringing the Speak and Spell back for 2019 with the same design and weird alphabetically arranged keyboard, but with pre-recorded voices that make the device a little easier to understand this time around. The 80s brought us He-Man and Voltron, but few toy lines were as memorable as the Transformers. The toys have remained popular for almost 40 years, but thanks to the recent Bumblebee movie, Hasbro is resurrecting classic characters like Jetfire and Omega Supreme, as well as the original designs for fan favorites like Optimus Prime. Hasbro is also bringing another iconic 80s property into the Transformers universe with Ectotron, a fun mashup where the Ghostbusters Ecto-1 vehicle now transforms into a robot too. Architecture professor Erno Rubik invented his famous puzzle cube in 1974, but it didn't become the iconic toy it is today until it was mass-produced by the Ideal Toy Corporation in 1980. Super Impulse has upgraded the classic puzzle by turning it into a handheld video game that players solve using simple motion gestures. When you get stuck, Rubik's Tilt provides hints of what part of the cube to spin next, and it has achievements that can be unlocked as you play. So even if you don't end up solving the cube, you won't feel like a complete failure. Pictionary was an instant hit when released in 1985, giving players the chance to laugh at their friends' embarrassing doodles. Mattel is reviving the game for 2019, but with a smartphone twist to engage a new generation that's addicted to their phones. Instead of paper and markers, Pictionary Air uses a light pen to create doodles that only appear on a smartphone or tablet screen. Not being able to easily see what you're drawing adds a frustrating new challenge to the game, but players will also enjoy being able to shame someone's awful doodles on social media. Golden Tee arrived when arcades were few and far between, but the game managed to find a home in bars and pubs where its trackball interface was easy to use, but hard to master. The cabinets aren't easy to find anymore, but Arcade 1-Up will soon be releasing a 3/4 scale replica that plays exactly like the original did, but is small enough to squeeze into even the tiniest home. But Hasbro might have found the ultimate way to engage 80s kids who are eager to reminisce about their childhoods. The toy maker is releasing a Stranger Things version of Trivial Pursuit with questions about movies, TV, music, celebrities, and events that shaped the 80s. If you thought spending hours watching MTV, ALF, and Saturday morning cartoons was a big waste of time when you were younger, it will finally pay off when you play Trivial Pursuit Back to the 80s edition and absolutely dominate board game night.